Thanks for having me. And it's just a difficult time, certainly, for anybody who's got any affiliation with the Dodgers or baseball or broadcasting. And, it was tough last night when we got the word in between innings, midway through the game. We didn't know. We were told, and then we just sort of reacted to the situation. And the game really kind of became secondary last night, even though the Dodgers beat the Giants 9-5, played well. A lot of things to talk about with baseball, with the trading deadline, and we had all those things ready to go. But then all of a sudden, that all got put on the back burner, and it was just about honoring and remembering Vin Scully. And sitting next to Rick Monday, who has known he's known Vin for, probably longer than most.
Yeah.
And I know it was difficult on him as well. And one thing we'll say, the Giants, very classy organization, number one, even though they have got such a great rivalry with the Dodgers. Larry Baer, the president and CEO of the Giants, came in the booth during the game after the news got out and waited. He stood behind Rick and I and waited for a commercial break, and then told us that they were not going to put anything up on the board during the game because they weren't sure if the players or staff in the dugout knew. And they didn't want to affect the game, didn't want to affect those guys at all. And I thought that was a really good thing to do. And as soon as the game ended, they put it up on their big screen. And people who were leaving, once they saw it, they all turned around, and a standing ovation. People were doffing their hats, and they were, clapping and in honor of him. It was something that I'd never seen before. The umpires didn't leave the field once they saw it. They were on their way off, and then they noticed, and they turned around, and some of the Dodger players who were out there going through the handshake line, and then they looked up, and they all stopped. Time stopped last night when word got out at Oracle Park. And in the visiting TV booth, they've always had this since Vin did his last broadcast there. They have a plaque that commemorates his final broadcast ever. So there's a lot of things, a lot of ways that he's being honored and memorialized, and there's a lot more to come. That's for sure, because many people are actually, starting last night, started going to Dodger Stadium, and there's been a makeshift memorial. People bringing candles and flowers and baseballs and pictures and you name it. And that had begun, I think, literally minutes after we announced it last night. And in Los Angeles, Vin Scully was the most trusted public figure probably ever in that town. To lose Vin, I don't know if there's an equivalent, because of the generations that he crossed over and the bridge that he was between, their beloved baseball team and them. I mean, when he talked to you in person, you were the only person in the room. He made you feel 100 feet tall. He made you feel really great. And every time I would go see him, and when he was still working, and leave the booth, I felt great. I was on cloud nine. That's what he could do for you personally. For people who didn't know him and listened to him and watched him for all those years, they felt like they knew him. And I guarantee you, a lot of people, when they got the news last night and again today, this morning, felt like they've suffered the loss of a close friend. And that's extremely impactful. We haven't had a broadcaster, I don't care if it's news, sports, whatever, we haven't had a broadcaster in this country that had the impact of Vin Scully on people. And he wasn't the kind of guy that would walk around and say, yeah, I'm that guy, I'm important. No, he was very humble. Very humble. He was all about his family, and he never really sought the attention, but he was so good at what he did that, attention followed him. And it was always positive. It really was always positive, always will be positive, and there'll never be anybody that will be able to do the job as well as Vin.